So the way that we see content is really we follow almost the framework of kind of like the Gary Vee method, if you will, where it's like document, don't create, where you kind of just follow what you're doing, like because your clients are a reflection of who you are. Like as much as you want to fight it, Pam, the people that you're going to bring into your world are very similar to you. They're going to be very similar. And I think I shared this story once, but one of my mentors, my first ever mentor that I ever had, his first like I guess thing to do was go and create content. And I said, what the heck do I say as content? He says, you know what your first content should be? And you should post it on Facebook. He goes, go share your deepest, darkest secret that you've never shared with anybody. Go share it on Facebook. And I said, you're dumb. Give me a refund. I literally told him that. He's like, no, I'm not going to give you a refund. Why? Because this is going to serve you for the rest of your life. If you do this, then you will open up the doors to other opportunities that you can do. And I'm like, whatever, just give me a refund. And then after like a day or so, I'm like, whatever. He gave me this task. I might as well do it. I paid him a lot of money, and he must be doing something right. And so I remember sitting in my car. I was wearing a stringer at the time, like a string shirt, because at the time I was a personal trainer and I was in good shape. So I was like, all right, I want everyone to like avoid looking and listening to me and just look at my body because I was all fit. I was like, I hope my voice is, because I like, have bad, I don't like hearing myself repeat or talk. I don't like hearing myself again. So I was like, okay, I'm going to share this thing, but I'm going to wear a string shirt so they can see all my muscles. And so I'm sitting there and I was in the car because I was like at home. I didn't feel comfortable doing this. So I was literally in the car, and I tell you, I did like at least probably like 50 video recordings of that thing. My phone was on fire, like literally hot, to the point where I was like, I can't even hold this thing. It was so hot because I had recorded so many different little takes of a like 3-minute video. And after that, it's so crazy because, and I'm not asking you guys to do any of this, by the way, because that was like really, really hardcore. So I shared the story of like the story that I shared to get myself out there into the content world was actually a story of me when I was 16 years old and I watched, I saw my dad almost try to kill himself, and I had to save his life. And so like that story right there was super emotional. I never shared it before. And I shared it on Facebook of all places. I hadn't even shared it with my mom. My mom didn't even know this story of like me seeing my dad try to kill himself and me catching him midway through and cutting the rope from his neck, right? Like nobody knew that story publicly besides me and then Facebook. So imagine like the kind of like the ooh that I was experiencing at that time. And so I remember doing the video so many different times, and I was crying. I'm like, man, this sucks. And then eventually what I did was I was just like, you know what? I'm going to post and ghost. Has anyone ever done that? Like you post something and you run away? I did that. So I made the post and I posted it. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, shoot, I'm going to delete my Facebook. I'm going to unfriend everybody I know. I'm not going to ever go out in public again. And then what happened was I was like, man, you know what? The next day I looked at my phone and I was like, you know what? Let me look at my Facebook. And I looked at my Facebook, and it was like viral. Like so many people were coming by my side and like, Dan, like you've never shared anything like this. You never done anything like this. This is so amazing. I love that you're sharing your story. And the story had nothing to do with what I was doing at the time. But what it did was it opened up the vulnerability for people to share things with me, which meant when I asked for business in the future, they're like, he's willing to share something with me, so I will be willing to share with him. And so I say that to kind of ease the kind of room here of like, content doesn't have to be crazy. In fact, you know what? When David's content really started to blow up, was he started to tell people that he was, you guys read in his book, when he talks about his story of growing up being sheltered, being being the only albino Mexican that he knew, and being on those little buses, and being treated like coddled his whole life. That's when everything started to change, to be honest with you guys. And I'm not saying that to share your deepest stories, Pam, to be that vulnerable, but what I am saying is like the content you share doesn't always have to pertain to your business. In fact, people don't work with businesses, they work with people. And so the posts and the contents I'm going to share with you today, they're really simple in nature, and they're so effective because they hit on emotional triggers that make people do things. Emotional triggers that make people do things. So you probably wonder, you probably know that, and now once you see it, you can't unsee it. Like once I share these things with you and these mental models with you, or these post ideas or these things with you, you can't unsee it. Every time you see it, you're like, oh, that's what Dan's doing. And so long story short, content doesn't have to be pertaining to your business all the time. It can be, but it doesn't always have to be. In fact, that actually makes you more of a one-sided person, well, more than a well-rounded personality. Like, Pam, we don't just want you because you're a CPA. We want you because you're a CPA that happens to be a mom, that happens to, invest in real estate. We want to know that, because if we know that about you, everybody wants to be a well-rounded person. And so they want to associate their status with the well-rounded person. And so everything I show with you, the number one thing that you can do for your clients and for people around you is to showcase how their status is improved by being around you. Okay? If you take nothing away from today, if your association with us increases your status, that means that you're going to try to do more things with us. it really does a couple things. Number one, it builds credibility. Number two, it helps your sales process. Like I mentioned in the beginning, if you're going to be running ads, which, you know, it's up to discussion, right? You don't have to run ads, but you can. It's just an easier, faster way to scale. But if you do, it improves your sales process. And here's why. Because if they see more of you, that means that you're not hidden, which means that when someone purchases from you, the number one question they have is, did I make the right decision? So Pam, when someone gives you the money, their number one question is, did I make the right decision? Your number one question was, did I make the right decision? So I eased your mind by calling you right away after, giving you some content to digest. Tammy, you felt the same way. Marlene, I'm sure you felt exactly the same way. Everybody in here had that same feeling. Now, if we did not have any content after you purchased or even before you purchased, it'd be a very, very difficult thing to do, right? But it didn't start that way. It started by just knowing who do you want to talk to. So this goes back to your audience. David, the challenge becomes is you want to be a microphone, right? But you want to be a microphone to your people. You don't want to be a microphone to all people. You want to be a microphone to your people. Does that make sense? So Tammy, you don't have to serve everybody. Pam, you don't have to serve everybody. Amit, you don't have to serve everybody. But for your people, you're going to serve them better than anybody else. And that's content. It doesn't have to be like the 7 strategies, you know, the one best strategy that rules all strategies. It doesn't have to. It could be the one best strategy for contractors, the one best strategy for high income earners that I found. Is this making sense, guys? Okay, so let me give you guys some actual content that you can use and abuse today. All right, so let's walk through it. Okay, so some of these, I'm gonna give you 10 posts that you can do, and then I'll give you guys this presentation you guys can use. Okay, so the first is called an engagement or involvement post. Now, these types of posts are very, very impactful because you're involving other people than just yourself. If you haven't read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, go read it. Because everything that you do is all about other people and how do you get them to be involved. The more people you can get involved into your world, that means the more influential you are. Does that make sense, Pam?
Yeah.
So this one right here is an engagement involvement post. And really what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to get everybody involved, right? This one right here, David, you can see David, how can we partner together? Pitch me, right? Like literally it's engagement. Now this isn't going to turn the needle on profits right away, but what this is doing is it's showing your client or your future client or your prospect, because there's going to be people on your social media, on your LinkedIn, because you can do this on LinkedIn, you can do this on Instagram, you can do it on Facebook. The reason why we do it on Facebook is just because it's so simple. Like Facebook has been the place where we've dominated for the last 5-7 years or so. So it's easiest for us to talk about it, you know, but you can do the same thing on LinkedIn or Instagram or YouTube, whatever, right? And the reason why is because it's based on psychological principles. It's not based on the tactics of the location, right? So it doesn't matter if it's on Facebook or Instagram or on LinkedIn. It's a basic fundamental. So an engagement or involvement post. How can you involve your people into decisions that you want to make? So for an example, Jim, one of your members, Jim, right? Jim Clark, he might watch this video, but he sent me a message about a logo that he's thinking about doing for his business. What do you think he could have done instead? Instead of going to me, what do you think he could have done? Just curious. What's up?
Went to his people.
That's right. And don't mind my cat again. Sorry. He wants to answer, but so he could have gone to his people. In fact, you all can do this, right? You guys can do this. If you're thinking about changing your business name, why not go out there and ask your people to help you decide? Make sense, Clayton? Don't do it because you think you're so good. Let them decide what's good. And then when they decide it, guess who's right? You or them?
Yeah.
Them. And who do you want to be right? Them. Because if they're right, guess what? They give you money. Here, Jerry. This is really important for you guys, because if you're thinking about a logo, why not choose 5 logos and say, hey guys, need your help. Which logo do you like best? If you don't like any, totally cool. Which one should I go with? Here's what I'm trying to achieve. That, my friends, is content. So you can ease your mind knowing you don't have to be, you don't have to research the best tax strategy. You don't have to look for the oil and gas of next week, of next tomorrow, or the best retirement strategy. You don't have to do that. You don't. Simple actions. It's pass, catch, shoot. It's the simple things that create the championship teams. These things right here are simple things. Okay. Now I'm showing you guys how to create content. I'm not showing you how to monetize content yet, because that's part of outside the scope of this particular training. But when you can get attention, then you can have a conversation. That conversation can turn into a closed deal. Okay. And there's phases to that. So essentially here, these are all David's posts. And the reason why he's doing this is because he's trying to involve the community. This is why David does so well on social media. And you think it's because he has a big following. No, it's because he has a loyal following. See the difference? If you have 100,000 followers, but only 10% or 1% work with you, right? 100,000 and only 1,000 work with him. Would you rather have 100,000 people following you and 1,000 people work with you, or 10,000 people following you, but 3,000 people work with you? See the difference? You want loyalty. You want loyalty. And then obviously at scale, you want volume. But if you can command loyalty with a small group, then when you get to a bigger group, that loyalty expands. Make sense, Clayton? Okay, so this is a good one. Involvement or engagement posts. You can use these things. Like literally, I think, Clayton, you just said that you chose your name based on your friends or based on your people.
Yeah, I actually asked my team that I trust and I love them. So I asked them before I make the decision.
I would even go to your clients too, and then say, here's what my team came up with. We came up with three things. What do you think? And when your clients say it, that means they accept it as their own. It's kind of like when you're selling a home. Has anyone been experienced of like buying a home with a realtor, right? So there's something that realtors do that I don't know if you guys know this, but sometimes like if a realtor's really good, they'll they do like an assumption of the close. Has anyone ever heard of that saying? Assumption of close. So yeah, well, I've studied a lot of sales things. So assumption of the close is basically you're telling them about the future of already having the thing that they want. So like for an example, when I came into my house, the one that I just bought, the realtor is like, okay, so where would you like to have your dinners at? Would you like to have them here or here? Like, where would you put your dining table? And so what she was doing was framing me to already accept that this is my house. Does that make sense? Kind of blowing your mind here, Jerry? See what I'm saying? I hope it's expanding your mind a little bit on that. Or do you see my screen, or do you see the sloth on my screen? There's a sloth on my screen, but I don't know if you guys see that.
As they would say, it's called manifestation.
Manifestation. There you go. You're manifesting it for them. All right. Yeah. So good stuff. So this is kind of what you're doing here, right? You're assuming the close for them, like meaning when they take ownership of what they've decided, it's hard for them to say no. For an example, there's a thing that you guys probably don't remember. And I know I'm giving you guys a lot of like things to think about, but I'd rather you get paid to think than to get paid to do. Who's with me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else with me? So it's kind of like the reason why, and this is very powerful stuff that I'm teaching here, far beyond the content you could just literally post, because I can give you the slide deck and it would work and you can just go and use it immediately. But the psychological triggers that we're doing here is this, right? When someone is already in the yes mode, it's very hard for them to say no. See what I mean? Everybody try it with me. Go like this. Go like this. Go ahead. Do it with me. Go ahead. You have my permission. Charles, you have my permission to do this. All right. How many of you guys, keep going, keep going, keep going. How many of you guys like tomato? Right? There you go. Like, you're like, what happened to my head? So the reason why I do that is, and I share this with you because it's like I show you how it's worked. And that's what you're doing with these people. You're pre-framing them if you ask them engagement post. And I hope I illustrated that well with you, because your mind almost probably went to like, how do I move my head? Because I've been doing this like this for so long that when you say no, my head doesn't know what to do. And that's why when David does presentations and why Dan does presentations, aside that he wants, validation, Dan, but I know that when I get you doing this, it's hard for you to do this. Make sense? Yeah, Tammy's already doing it. And all of you guys, I know, as soon as I told you guys, you're like, I'm not moving my head again. I get it. I know. That's why I'm like, oh, man, I don't want to teach you guys this because then you're going to know my secrets. All right. So number 2 is direct offer post. Like this is literally where you can just go out there and say, I'm looking for 5 business owners that want to save money on taxes. Who's with me? That's a direct offer. That's directly asked the people that are on the fence to come into your world and give you money or do business with you. Make sense, Tammy? You with me, Charles? And you want to use this sparingly because it's kind of like, you don't want to always ask. You want to give, like the Hormozi and the Gary V, give, ask, jab, right hook. You want to use this direct offer posting thing kind of sparingly. And I wish I can give you guys like, oh, here's the chart of all the content you're going to post in this order and all that stuff. I've done that before. I've done it with 365 days worth of content, but I'll tell you this, not one person has ever completed it, not even 10 days. So the reason why I don't give you guys these things and like, you need to do it in order, you need to do it in sequence, you need to do it like this, you need to do it like that, is because it kind of just depends. I'm giving you this framework so you can use them. But a direct offer post is literally when you're asking something. So like, for an example, David, in 2021, he did this and I told him to do this, but we ran a survey to figure out what tax business owners want to know about growing a business. Based on that, that's how we created the first go around of Tax Advisor. The first iteration of this program came from this survey. Does that make sense? You see what I mean? So if all you did was like, hey, I want to put together a tax strategy blueprint for my Facebook friends or my friends, would you be open to giving me filling out this survey, Chris? And in return, I'll give you the blueprint for free once it's completed. Sound fair? Boom. You made an offer, direct ask. And then when everybody fills out that survey, those become the people that become clients. Okay. I want you just to think with content right now. Don't think about the conversion rate yet. Don't think about converting just yet, because without the attention, you won't get the conversion. So you need to get the attention first. All right. And so that's a direct offer post. Literally, you can go and say, I want to help 5 business owners save $10,000 in taxes in the next 30 days. Who's with me? If you say that, Chris, you get someone to like your post, you message them and you say, hey, are you supporting my post, or are you interested in saving money on taxes? And then they tell you, I'm supporting you and I'm interested. Okay, perfect. Let's jump on a call, see if I can help you. And boom, you got yourself a booked call. Make sense? Yeah. I know it's simple, but yet it's so effective, guys. If all you did was those things. Life post. Number 3, life post. Remember I was telling you guys earlier, Pam, about people want to know that you're well-rounded, Tammy? That you're not just a one-sided person, Chris, that you don't just do taxes. You actually have a life outside of that. You might have kids. And this was the hardest thing for me. And I know David too, because I'm kind of very secretive with my family. Like, you know, when I was in, I'll tell you what kind of a side tangent. When I was in, it's funny because my girlfriend now, she's like, I didn't even know you had a family. She thought I was like an orphan or something. And that's okay if you were, but like for me, when I was in school, like education, like I never talked to anybody about anything that went on outside of my life. Like nothing. Nobody knew I had a brother. Nobody knew I had a sister. Nobody knew I had a mother or dad. Like nobody knew. And then the only time they knew was when my brother literally came to school with me and my sister went to the same school with me at that time. That was the only time they ever knew. And my girlfriend didn't even know. She's like, I didn't even know you had a family. Like literally nobody knew, because I never told anybody anything. So the life post has been probably the biggest struggle for me. But once you start sharing things like this about your person, like not necessarily your personal life, but like who you are as a person. I see Charles do this more often now, whereas he didn't do it before, where he shows like his wife and his girls and posts and shouts them out. I can guarantee you those posts get way much more engagement and way much more like people reaching out or accepting his requests or doing whatever, because they see he's a real person. He's not just posting stuff about tax strategy. He's not just saying the Freedom Blueprint. I don't know. I think it's called or something like that, right? Something like that. Something like it. The Dream Blueprint. The Dream Blueprint. So he talks about that a lot, but like at some point they're like, okay, so do you do anything besides the Dream Blueprint? So that's why these get such good response. So Jerry, I saw you post something recently. You were at I think you were at a party or something recently, and you posted something or did like a video.
It was an Easter Sunday in church. We had like a family event.
There you go. So when you posted stuff like that stuff is memorable. And then I come back and I say, oh, Jerry's a family guy. I like work. I'm a family person too. I want to work with him on tax strategy because I have a business and I have a family, and he has a business and he has a family, and our business are like, they coexist. Like I want to work with him. So if he just talks about tax strategy all day and night, then he's a one-sided person and I'd rather not work with him. Okay. So, because I wouldn't hang out with him if he wasn't. You got to think about it like that. Like, would you hang out with you if you just posted what you posted? You know, it's a good point. Inspiration or motivation, right? So here's another one. Sometimes you just post things that inspire people. And what inspires people? Comeback stories, before and afters. You know, no matter how long your goals take, don't give up. After 10 years of praying and busting my butt, my son's finally moving in full time with me. I don't think I've been this happy in my entire life. This was someone else's post, not mine, because I don't say that. But look at his engagement there. Like it's a nurturing post. It's an inspiration post. Like, I made a post the other day. I'm so excited. Like, I don't remember what it was. Like, I think there was a post that I made the other day and was just like, at every level, there's another devil. And everybody's like, oh yeah, that's true, right? Like things like that. And things like that inspire people. Like, you know, I remember when I couldn't even like feed my son. And now he has more than anything. He doesn't have a lack of anything in his life. And that, when I post things like that, it's like, whoa, that's motivation. That's inspiration. That's something to follow up. Is this making sense, Chris? Like sometimes you just have to celebrate your own success. Feel me? Tammy, Amit?
I never do that. Like I never post personal stuff on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, if you find anything personal about me on Facebook, and like you can go back years. And yeah, that's one of my biggest issues.
It's a very big challenge. It's a very big challenge because we're so like business oriented, and we don't think that our businesses are like we are our business, which you're not really, but you kind of are. Like kind of are, you know, if you're in business, it's really difficult to separate life and business. But if you figured it out and been able to grow it consistently, you know, over a long period of time, that's a good thing. You know, it's just a challenge, a very big challenge. But I'll tell you, what's stopping you is what's going to help you grow. Like the challenge you have right now is the breakthrough you need for tomorrow. See, that's a post. That's a motivation post, by the way. You know, so I say that to help you kind of understand the thing that's stopping you is what's actually making you grow, like should make you grow. Okay, number 5. This is where you guys can do the value thing. This is where, Jerry, where you want to talk about, you know, here's the 3 strategies that I use for my clients to help them save money on taxes. And then you make a post about that, or you make a video, or you make a post, then a video. There's no secret formula to this, guys. There's not. If you follow the framework from Monday, which I shared, you know, how to build up your list, you build up your list, you do these frameworks, you get results. It's that simple. The challenge is doing it, right? I totally understand that. Totally, 100% understand that. And the reason why it's hard for you to get started to do these things is because you don't see the big payoff. But I probably should have led with, you know, we'd made $2.5 million from David's personal social media last year. Maybe that would have changed the frame of what you guys thought about these content posts. Eh? You see what I'm saying here, Chris? Picking up what I'm putting down? So that might change the frame of why you look at this content in a different way. Maybe you think about it differently as like, do I have time to pick up an extra $2.5 million a year? Or not really? Or is my tax return more important right now? I'm just saying, you know. But anyway, so this is where you can literally showcase your expertise. Like, you know, Jerry, you could talk about the one strategy used this weekend to help, like at the Sunday family gathering. Like I use this strategy to help me save money on taxes this weekend using the Augusta rule, or using the whatever. Like I paid these things for my family and I wrote it off as my business. Here's how I did it, and boom, 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 boom. See what I mean? And that's content, Jerry. You don't have to look too far to get content. Okay, reshareable content. So if you see something that's getting shared a lot, just repost it as your own. There's nothing against that, Tammy. You're not gonna get slapped on the hand. It's okay. All right, these are intended to be reshareable in alignment with people. Basically, people to say, I agree with that. These are almost alignment posts as well. These are things that like, sometimes you have to unfollow people in real life. How many of you guys agree with that? Yeah, right? And any of you guys that don't, I know you lie about other things. Okay, Charles, I know you lie about other things, Charles. I know you're lying to me. Just kidding. So humble enough to know I can't lose it all. Confident enough to know I can get it all back. One of you guys is going to post this and get some shares on this, by the way, today. All right. Segmentation posts. I really, really enjoy doing this one when you guys have, sometimes people tell me like my algorithm's messed up, or nobody likes my post, or nobody does anything on, like I post and nothing happens. Has anyone ever experienced that? Where they're like, I post, nobody likes my stuff. Nobody shares my stuff. Nobody does anything, like it's just dead all the time. Has anyone ever experienced that? This post cures that. This post cures that, and it resets the algorithm. This post does that. And here's why. This one, I love to start to re-engage people that have been with you for a very long time and you've never posted in the past, and now you're going to start posting. Like that's everyone's question. That's everyone's question all the time. Like you've never done anything before. Why are you doing something now? With this post, you answer that question. And I know it's a big post here, but the idea here is really this. Attention, everybody. I'm doing something a little bit differently. I know you've been with me on this journey, but I'm moving to this journey. And I know you follow me for this particular reason, but I'm going to start doing this. Now, I'd love to take everybody with me, but you know what? As things grow, I grow. I need to make space for new people in my life. So if you're with me, let me know. If you're not, that's totally cool. Be where you're at. Does that make sense? And so it's kind of like a breakup letter. You know, hey, it's not you, it's me. We've been at this for some time now, and it's time for us to either move on and get together. Let's do it, right? I almost call this like drawing the line in the sand kind of deal. And by the way, you don't have to read this whole thing and try to, I'll give you the exact post with the copy. Like literally you can copy and paste it and change it. So the text is there for you. So don't worry if you have to read this and you're like, oh my gosh. I've done this probably like 20 times already, and it's worked the same way every time. That's why I say this is a really good one for if you want to restart or refocus yourself. Like Tammy, maybe you were starting the coaching, you know, for some time, and then you want to reset to tax planning. This is a refocused post. It really aligns the people that should be in your world now that probably were in your world before. They're really, really good posts. Same thing for you, Clayton. If you were a tax preparer before and everyone knew you as a tax preparer and you're transitioning into a tax advisor, this is a restart. And this is like a reshift and focus. And it allows you to do that. Same thing for you, Marlene. If all they've known you for is, you know, someone that's just done tax prep, Elaine, same thing. It's a refocus post, basically. Number 8 is a can you see me post. So this is a post I recently gave to one of our bootcamp members, and she did it. And she was like, I have 50,000 followers, but nobody's commenting, nobody's engaging, nobody's doing anything. And she did this one post and she got so many people reaching out to her. She was like, I have like everybody's messaging me, like literally. But she had been posting things. She had 50,000 followers and she's like, Dan, like my algorithm sucks. So I said, just do this thing. She did it and it worked. So look, it's not going to work like this every time, guys. But the more things you try, the more things you'll get, to be honest. So this specific post is to get people re-engaged. Like, you know, you literally just say hi. You haven't been here in a while, say hi. It's great also to get to know who your supporters are. So not everybody on your social media are qualified to buy from you, Charles or Pam. Not everyone on your LinkedIn is qualified to buy from you, but that doesn't mean they can't support you. See what I mean? Because the people that comment on this stuff right here, I can almost guarantee you, none of these people are qualified. But guess who is watching this? The qualified people that won't ever comment on your stuff. They won't ever engage with your stuff, but they'll buy from you. See, Jerry's like, yeah, that's my guys. That's Jerry, right? So Jerry probably looks at all my posts. He'll never like my stuff, but he'll message me like, Dan, can you help me? Some of you are those people, and that's okay. You don't do this for
I
clients.
have a good example, Dan.
Tell me, because I'm
So one of
hoping
my
I'm not
friends-
just talking to myself.
No, you're absolutely.
Go ahead. Ah, Jerry was about to give the sauce, and he went frozen on us.
One of my two friends that have never reached out to me. Oh, can you hear me?
There you go, Jerry.
Oh, yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so two of my childhood classmates who've never spoken to me or reached out to me, I didn't know they were watching and following me, and now they want me to do their taxes.
Ah, there you go.
And yes, two people that, I mean, it's crazy for since I've been in the US, I mean, for over like 10, 20 years, I've never heard from them. You see, so what you're saying absolutely makes sense.
Because it actually happens. So it's kind of like I've done this before or something, right? It's kind of like maybe I've done this a time or two, Pam. It's like maybe I know what I'm talking about or something. And the reason why I'm saying that is I'm so glad that Jerry shared that testimony there, because it's so true. It's so true. Like these posts right here, guys, I know I'm talking engagement and all that stuff, but really this is not for engagement. This is all for the people that make money, that are looking at you succeed, that are looking at you do things, because they're vetting you by the things that you do. Your best clients will likely never engage with you on social media, but they'll see everything you do, and then they'll say, I saw that thing, and that's why I want to work with you. Okay, so don't be afraid, Pam, to post things and know that nobody's engaging with you. The right person is watching always. And so they're watching if you do, and they're watching if you don't. Okay. Client results. Nothing says credibility like results. I posted this recently, and we're probably gonna have another member come in pretty soon. I posted this recently. Help me celebrate Laura, a new member of ours who made $50,000 a day, one day into our program. She hasn't even finished onboarding, guys. She joined last week, 2 weeks ago. She made her money back in the first day she joined our program. Pretty cool, right? Bet y'all wondering what she did, right? And so right there, everybody here went to go celebrate her, even if they weren't like ideal clients. Like and again, what am I doing this for? I'm making all these people engage so that the buyers look and see, oh my gosh, people are like, he's someone worth following. Okay. She's someone worth following. Client results are really, really good. And then lastly, hand raiser post. This is the lead generator post. This specific post is to get people to raise their hand and literally lead generate for your business. Okay. So you can say, I posted this recently. Hey, I just started a new training on how to get your ideal clients for free. Who wants a copy? And then people started liking it and commenting. Did any of you guys see that post that I made? So what's good about this is I already did the content. I don't have to redo these things. Goes back to the frameworks I tell you guys about in marketing. Never do one thing for one thing. That training I just did on Monday, and guess what? I can go repost it now to get a new lead, and that lead can become a member here. Does that make sense? So you guys can literally do those things. Like always reuse things that you've done. Like don't just scrap it. Put it together, make a package out of it, and then go give it to everybody for free.